Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Hello everyone and welcome to our next to last Mektober segment for this year. In this episode we are going to do some casual faction necromancy as we look at a mech from the dead clan, well a dead clan, or mostly dead at least. When you think of the mechs out there that belong to Clan Novacat, I'm sure that things like the aptly named Novacat or the Wendigo come to mind. As my cat just agreed with me. One of the ones I've discovered, though, is, in my opinion, at least a cocaine and Vision Quest fueled murder machine. A mech that feels like the Novacats got a good look at the Penetrator and said, "Hold my beer." Today we're digging into the Sphinx. Where the Penetrator was a reaction to the Clan Juggernaut, the Sphinx is Clan Novacat's post-Word of Blake knee-jerk reaction machine. The Sphinx was originally envisioned as an Omni-Mech. Due to the need for the mech, though, or the time any mech for that matter, or at the time any mech for that matter, the Sphinx was rushed into production in 3078. Being built as a standard BattleMech out of the need for expediency over quality. This need to get the machine to the battlefield is also reflected in its appearance, with a blocky body, a head reminiscent of the Cyclops, and arms that look like they were lifted straight off of a Legionnaire. The Sphinx puts function over form in the most direct manner. Having been rushed to production, the Sphinx is quite an impressive machine that only gets more impressive as you dig into the base chassis, as well as its variants. The Sphinx has an intended role as a cavalry mech. With this in mind, Clan Novacat focused on two things when designing the mech: speed and efficient firepower. In fact, the Sphinx was envisioned as a heavier counterpart to the Nova Omni-Mech. Looking to achieve this, and in a way accidentally building what is effectively a Flashman or Penetrator 2C, Clan Novacat began by building the Sphinx on a 75-ton chassis. This chassis is constructed out of weight-saving endo steel, and to power the Sphinx to a speed of 86 kilometers an hour, the mech is powered by a massive 375 extra light engine. Although this design choice makes the Sphinx more vulnerable to destruction through the loss of a side torso, it also makes the mech capable of keeping up with the standard speed of most clan battleline formations. This weight savings was also critical to allowing the mech to mount 23 double heat sinks to allow it to handle the massive heat load that all its energy weapon arsenal would finally produce. Last, as far as protection, the Sphinx is clad in 13.5 tons of armor, giving it respectable protection for its size. As far as weapons payload, the Sphinx doesn't hold back. In each arm, it carries a powerful extended range large laser. These are backed up at medium to close range with no less than 10 ER medium lasers, with 2 in the center torso and 4 in each side torso. This massive amount of heat created by all these lasers, means that the pilot has to always cycle their weapons to keep from overheating, lest they wish to turn the Sphinx's cyclopean cockpit into a people-sized Instapot. The Sphinx 2 is a bit more of a knife fighter, and is more capable of physical combat, which was something the Blakeists, I'm having a day, definitely did not shy away from. It moves the ER large lasers to the center torso and replaces the ER medium lasers with 2 ER small lasers, 10 of them, which are mounted in the side torsos. The weapons are all linked to an advanced targeting computer. The Sphinx 2 also adds a Myomer acceleration signal circuitry system, or MASC, that allows it short bursts of speed up to 100 kilometers an hour. Moving further into the Sphinx family, we have come to the Sphinx 3. This variant of the mech seems to combine the best aspects of the standard Sphinx and the 2 variant to make a deadly mid to close range fighter. First, the Sphinx 3 drops the 2 arm-mounted ER large lasers. This saved space is used to adopt a few adaptations found in the 2. The first of these is the addition of an advanced targeting computer, making the 10 ER medium lasers even more accurate and deadly. The next thing that the 3 takes from the 2 is the mask system, giving it a very high top speed for a mech of its size, in short bursts anyway. The final addition to the design is an ECM suite, which allows it to interfere with some fire control systems as well as with C3 networks, making it highly effective against their then allies, the Draconis Combine, but also against the Word of Blake. Something to note on the Sphinx 3 is the level of efficiency that it has heat-wise. With a total of 25 heat sinks, doubles, the Sphinx 3 can effectively run every turn and only has to not fire a single ER medium laser every 3rd turn, and it will not have any adverse heat effects. Also, with the amount of heat sinks, if it loses a side torso, it actually becomes more heat efficient, even with the engine damage. The final member of the Sphinx line of mechs, at least as of this recording, is the Sphinx 4. The 4 goes back to its roots and is also an exercise in excess. The design apparently appears to be based off of the standard model, but with an eye towards raw damage output. The mech forgoes any of the advanced systems or electronics of the 2 or 3, and instead has 2 arm-mounted large pulse lasers for an effective long-range punch. If anyone is foolish enough to close to knife fighting range, the Sphinx can both dazzle and eviscerate them with its 10 small, heavy lasers. That's right, 90 meters of range, but hits like a brick. The weapons on the Sphinx 4 are cooled with 24 double heat sinks. While this means that the Sphinx 4 isn't heat neutral, if it doesn't fire a single small heavy laser every other turn, it will stay very close. Given the extremely short range of the heavy lasers, I can see the 4 variant of this mech being something that was cooked up in the last days of Clan Nova Cat's existence as they were desperately trying to hold on to what they had and stop the DCMS. Let's see here though. So, alright, so from a Battletech perspective, the Sphinx is absolutely terrifying, especially considering it's essentially a roided out Nova, which in and of itself is terrifying. Let's see how this cross between a Connects kit and a Disco Laser Ball of Death stacks up in Alpha Strike though. Beginning with the baseline Sphinx, it comes in at 52 points. It's a BattleMech size 3, TMM of 2, moves 10 inches, and is a skirmisher. The mech does 6 damage at short and medium, doing only 2 at long. It also has a highly impressive 3 overheat. The Sphinx has armor of 7 and structure of 4 with a single special of ENE. The Sphinx 2 turns the machine up to 11. It has a very high point cost of 60. But for that, you get one hell of a beat stick. Its baseline stats are BattleMech size 3, TMM2, movement of 12 inches. It is a skirmisher and has a very impressive short and medium of 8 with a long of 2 and no overheat value. It shares the same armor, structure, and special of the baseline model. This version essentially takes 2/3 of the overheat value of the standard and makes it usable all game, as well as having the speed to close with enemy units or pursue quite easily. The Sphinx 3 is almost completely identical to the 2, except in ways that make it more attractive to the competitive Alpha Strike player. The 3 has the same type, speed, TMM, and even roll of skirmisher as the 2. Where it begins to differ is first in cost at 59 points, allowing it to fit ever so slightly better into lists. It then shares the 8 damage at short and medium range, yet lacks long range damage capabilities or even an overheat value. It has the same 7 armor with 4 structure and even shares the energy special while adding ECM, which makes it the most toolbox version of the mech with range capabilities optimized to fighting on a 4x4 table or smaller. And those table sizes are common in the Alpha Strike tournament scene. Where the Sphinx 3 is the most competitive, friendly version of that mech. Competitive friendly. I phrased that really weird, didn't I? The 4 variant is so fluffy that it should be represented by a plush miniature. The 4 model comes in at 44 points and is a brawler. It's BattleMech size 3, TMM of 2 with movement of 10. It has an impressive 8 damage at short range, which falls off dramatically at medium and continues into long at 3 damage. The 4 model has no overheat ability and has the 7 armor and 4 structure and ENE that is common to every version of the Sphinx. Now, before going on to any kind of conclusion, I want to talk about why I don't have a hate on for this mech aesthetically, while at the same time, I do for the Nova, or the Black Hawk. At the time when this mech was first released, it was for MechWarrior Dark Age, the game. And it was later retconned to be something the Nova Cats cooked up. It was something to fight the Blakists during their spear-spanning temper tantrum. The aesthetic of the Sphinx fits the feeling of panic and survival-induced creativity. Something that says, sloped armor and pretty curves, be damned, we need this on the field right now. I honestly kind of like it in that regard, as it may be ugly, ungainly, and look like a mech that was drawn by a 5-year-old. It is also effective, and because of this, while it doesn't hold a candle to the looks of mechs like the Nova Cat or the Wendigo, it is just as effective and just as deadly. And with that, I just kind of realized I pretty much gave you a conclusion about the design. One other thing I would like to add is that the current Iron and Metal Sphinx model is actually scaled pretty accurately with the modern miniatures. And if you would like to pick one of those up, I would highly recommend checking out fortressminiaturesandgames.com for it. Bobby there, he's a great guy. He's the one who runs the Southern Assault tournaments, and he carries just about everything you need for Battletech. So go over to fortressminiaturesandgames.com if you want to get a Sphinx. I'm going to do a video review of it at some point. It's a really good miniature, being, a lot of people want to trash the metal models and say they're horrible and everything else, and they're not scaled properly. This is one they got right. I mean, the mech's ugly, but that's just sort of inherent to its design. It's, oh shit, the Blakists are coming, we need to build a thing. So yeah, that wraps everything up for the night. I would like to thank my patrons over at Patreon. Because of you, this podcast is possible. If you're listening and you'd like to support the podcast, you can do that over at patreon.com/unicorncompany, one word. And if you do, I really appreciate it. And we also have a giveaway, I want to say at the end of November. Might be the end of this month, actually. I'll have to double check. But we are giving away product to our patrons. So if you want to get in on that $5 and up tier, you are eligible to win Catalyst Game Labs miniatures, other things that I review, So, and that's something we've just started towards the end of this year, and we're going to carry on into next. So until next time, this is Carrie signing off.
I'm gonna find my meaning, I can make a change. I wanna play the